And yes, we were talking about Finnair introducing a new policy where they're voluntarily, at the moment, measuring passengers as they board planes.
And yeah, you're quite right. They're going to start getting passengers weighed in order to be able to put them on the plane. And do you know, I was asked to go on Good Morning Britain this week about this. I think they like me when it comes to cyclists, pets, or fat people. And I presume it was a story about the latter. And and the thing that meant that I couldn't go on was because I kind of agreed with it. And I think they thought that as a resident fatty, they might be thinking that I would be horrified and disgusted by it. But I wasn't. Why are you in favour of it?
Well, I just think from a commercial point of view as well, a lot of these budget airlines that could be weighing passengers, the margins are so tight. So having a heavier plane means more consumption of fuel. So you can even look at it like that. But also, I've had situations where I've been travelling to New York, for example, long flight, 6 hours. I was sat next to a very large obese person and they were spilling over, and it tends to be the case, I'm not saying with you, but a lot of fat people smell. And there was a very...
Some might. You can't say a lot. How do you know a lot do?
Well, just anecdotally speaking,
some like I've got to just rein you in there. Some go the extra mile to make sure that they don't. Like, for instance, myself, and I am a man that carries a soupçon of extra weight. You'd barely notice. I wash all of my T-shirts at 90 degrees, and I spray under the arms. I don't smell, but I just am so conscious of things like that. I mean, I am responsible for global warming when it comes to my washing.
Sure.
I am obsessed with not being that person, because I think it's worse. I think if you are overweight and there is a perception that you are a bit smelly, I think that is absolutely awful.
Yeah, well, I mean, you might try your best, but I think...
So what, you saying I still smell?
Often the case, the sweat does seep through eventually.
So do you think, are you telling me I smell?
No, I can't really smell. You're too far away for me to smell you now, but potentially. I mean, if I got closer to you, maybe during the outbreak, then I could let the viewers know after.
Why don't you have a sniff during the outbreak?
Yeah, I let people know
Come
after.
And have a little sniff.
I have a little sniff and I'll verify.
Then you could give an informed analysis as to how smelly I am.
Absolutely. I mean, but what I'm saying is,
forward to it.
That was precisely my problem. I was on the flight, this person's body was spilling over the seat, and there was just a pungent smell coming from the man next to me. So for that reason, people, number one, need to get more room so they're not touching me. So I think airlines should be introducing new policies, a fat tax.
Well, see, that I don't agree with, and I'll tell you why. Firstly, I am horrified to hear that you were flying economy, Ryan Mark. That does not fit in with your brand.
No, it was business. It was business.
Well, could they be spilling over in business?
It was 3 seats. It was 3 seats in business. Well, they're the airline's version of business anyway.
What airline was this?
I'm not going to name the airline because I work with the airline, but it was business.
I don't think that sounds like the kind of business class that you should be flying. Because, when I fly business class, which is very, very often, but I'm incredibly wealthy, I do not have anyone spilling over into my seat. Not even my husband spills over into my seat on business class. So I don't know what kind of...
It's like maybe a premium economy or something.
Maybe, I don't know. Now we're getting to it. It's premium economy.
I don't know the terminology.
You were at the back next to the toilet. That was probably what was smelling. Okay. I actually agree with this because it is being done because they want to calculate the weight of the plane. So it's a safety issue. And actually, I think that that's really important. There have been crashes that have taken place of flights, usually smaller aircraft, where the weight hasn't been evenly distributed. We are all fatter as a nation, whether that's you agree with that or disagree with that. I think that from a safety perspective, it seems perfectly reasonable. They're not shaming people by doing it. They don't reveal the weight to anyone else. So from that perspective, I'm on board with it. Where I am a little bit more reticent is the idea that you would be penalised for your weight to get on a plane, and that that you get on a plane and you're bigger and you're told, right, your fare is going to be more expensive.
Why is that an issue?
Because I think that we are a society. I think if you infringe on someone else's seat,
yeah,
you should have a second seat.
Sure.
Now, what Southwest Air do, which I think is a very, very good policy, is that if you are overweight and you require 2 seats, you are told you have to buy a second seat, which I think is reasonable. But if the plane isn't full, then you get a refund on that second seat, because there is, and I think that's a really fair way of doing it.
Yeah, that's a fair way.
I think that if you are going to weigh people, though, I think it's a little bit of an indignity, and I think that as a society there are many, many people and many, many types of people that you have to sort of roll your eyes and tolerate. And I'm afraid to say that fat people are that kind of demographic that we have to tolerate.
The obesity rate in the UK is about 26%. I think if you enforced a kind of tax on these fat people, it might be a great incentive for them to lose weight, because if they want to travel and they have to lose weight, then that's great.
That's not taxing people into needing to lose weight. It's not going to make them lose weight. If you are overweight, it's usually as a result, and take it from me, I've gained and lost so much weight in my life, Ryan Mark. And and you've hardly been the slimmest of gymnasts.
No, but I haven't been obese.
Well, you did.
I've been overweight, okay, but I haven't been obese.
But you were at the doorstep and knocking on the obesity door.
Okay,
I mean,
well,
you might not have gone through it, right?
I haven't quite crossed it like you have.
You didn't go through the threshold, but you were knocking on the door.
Okay, fine. But never obese, fine.
And you are beautifully svelte now.
I've lost weight. I've lost weight since The Apprentice. Yes,
you have. But a lot of the time, not for everyone, it's as a result of not feeling great about yourself, or using food because you're trying to comfort yourself, or something else like that. And so in order to get to a place where you actually start to lose weight, you usually have to sort of feel a bit better about yourself to kind of give yourself that reward.
Right.
And I'm not sure that berating people or shaming them is ever that good.
Well, they just have to pay more. That's all it is. I mean, if you're going to impact someone else, I'm paying. I want my own space. If you're going to have an impact on that, naturally you should just pay extra for the extra space that you need.
It's difficult.
Well, I think we're just dramatising it too much. You're just making it so dramatic and emotive. It doesn't need to be like this.
But it is a bit emotive.
It really isn't. It's really black and white and simple.
Fat people don't sit there and think, I love being fat. Pass me some food. I love being fat.
Well, why are they fat? I mean, go out and run.
Well,
go for a run. Why are you not going for a run after the show?
Well, I do go for a run.
It's not working.
Shut up. I'm actually incredibly fit.
Right, okay. Well, I'm not going. I don't really care if you're fat or not. I don't really care what someone does with their body. What I care about is if I'm on a plane and I'm paying a lot of money for my seats, I don't want to be impacted by a fat person.
Well, that's if someone's spilling into your seat, I agree.
Right, so they need to pay more than for the extra room.
It's whether... Well, no, see, extra room, I think, is solved, because I think that you should have to pay for another seat.
Right, that's fine, yeah.
It's where I have a problem, and I do actually think you have a fair point when it comes... It's the weight of the plane, because what it means is that the plane is heavier, meaning it uses less petrol, which means it impacts everyone's fares going forward. And so it's basically about the extent to which we allow an element of society to impact other people's airfares by their size.
Right.
And it's a tricky one, because...
Well, airlines are so anal, right, about baggage restrictions. And I just think that's so grossly hypocritical, because they make such a big deal about how much your bag weighs, but they would allow someone who's 25 stone on the plane without question. And I just think, come on.
Okay,
I mean,
so
that's
right.
really hypocritical.
So what if you are incredibly muscular, so your weight is quite high? What about that? How would that work?
Well, then you also need to pay for extra room.
So your weight doesn't necessarily mean that you are fat.
It doesn't just have to be fat. Yeah, if you're large and you weigh a lot, I don't care if it's muscle or fat, whatever it is. If you have a large body mass,
Okay. What about disabled people then? They take up more room.
I'm not talking about disabled people.
But you're the principle.
Is that what you're... Are you suggesting a policy for disabled people? I'm not. I'm talking about fat people.
Suggesting, not
well,
me.
look, the story is about fat people and Finnair, not about that.
And you are an intelligent enough man to know that an argument can be taken in many different ways. But if your argument is they're taking up more room, well, then surely the logical next step in that argument is that someone with a wheelchair
I have
takes up more
total
room.
sympathy for people who are disabled. Fat people, I have no sympathy for.
Why don't you have sympathy with people who are fat?
Well, because it's
You've
your
been
choice.
Fat. Why aren't you good?
Well, it's depending on your definition of fat. I've never been obese, okay, and I've said that before. But also, disabled people don't have a choice. Fat people have a choice.
Some people don't have a choice who are fat.
Who?
Some people don't have a choice who are fat.
You put the food, you eat the bag of Maltesers, and you decide not to run. That is a choice.
That's such a simplistic view, Ryan Mark.
How so? How so?
Smarter
How
than
so?
this.
Will you explain how I'm wrong?
Sometimes people have a medical issue, which means that they're overweight. Sometimes people have a thyroid problem, that means that they are overweight. Sometimes people have a medical problem, meaning that they can't exercise, meaning that they put on weight. Sometimes people have hormonal problems that mean they put on weight. That's why women or men of a certain age, once they hit that certain age, can't lose weight as easily. It's a little
The majority
bit
of
more
cases are people who are obese in the UK, okay? 26% of people in the UK are obese.
Yes.
The majority of those cases are people that just eat too much and don't move, full stop, that is it. Yes, of course you have those cases where people suffer from medical conditions that cause their obesity, but for the most cases it's not. It's people eating too much. Stop trying to justify their fatness.
Because sometimes, you're right, for some people that's the case, but how would you differentiate?
You need to be a bit more... Look, step back a bit and be a bit more objective about it, because I don't know if you're finding it personally offensive that I'm taking this stance because it affects you, but I'm just saying...
No, I am like Teflon. I'm fine.
Well, okay, you're not giving me that impression.
No,
though.
I am great. No, because otherwise I would have a hissy fit, tell you can't talk about it, and run out the room crying. Okay. But in fact, Hartley Macker said, "Good show, Cristo. I love that you discuss everything openly, even weight, and you don't shut anything seemingly offensive down." I think you're the seemingly offensive bit. Right. The point I'm making is that you would penalise people who have less choice about being overweight in order to penalise the people who do have a choice. Because how would you differentiate? If I've got a medical problem, in fact, I'll be honest, I have through crash dieting and through an autoimmune condition I have called Hashimoto's disease, I have no thyroid. I've literally got no thyroid. So I have to take thyroid medication every single day. And your thyroid is the thing that regulates your sort of metabolism that means you are able to lose weight. You look very cynical about this.
No, I'm listening.
And it's true. Now, it's fine. You know what I mean? I still train. I still work out. I still get some weight off, but it's really, really hard. So that is different to a person who might be exactly the same weight as me, who does just eat and doesn't work out and doesn't do anything and has made the decision that they don't care enough about themselves.
Right.
Would you have both of us being penalised in the same way?
Look, I think there's different situations.
Or would I be able to produce a note to say that actually, sorry, the reason that I am carrying weight is because of this reason? Or would you not have that in Ryan Mark's world?
There could be some kind of exemption for people that can't control their weight, like you. And yeah, of course, there are other people that can't. But for those that can, I think they should be penalised. And I think the airlines are making a good choice. In Korea, they've been exercising this since last year, in August. And domestic flights, they've been weighing passengers. It seems to be working over in Asia. So I don't see the issue in bringing it over to the West.
All right. Let's see what some people are saying on here. I would pay extra on a plane not to sit next to this obnoxious young man, says Elizabeth.
I don't want to sit next to you either.
But another one here saying, good morning. I think Ryan is spot on. I could listen to him all day. Did you just send that?
Yeah.
Andy in Swansea. Andy making a good point here. It's not just fat people. Tall people, they take up more room.
Yeah.
Disabled people, muscly people, sick people. Do short people pay less? That's not fair, says Andy. I mean, I think the point here is we are potentially going down quite a dangerous road. That's all. Do you acknowledge that if you were to open the door to this, you are opening the door to people's height, other ways in which they might take up room? What if I've got an oxygen cylinder because I'm going to die? Do I have to pay excess luggage for that? All of those sorts of things.
I think it's when you're laterally large, when you start to become wide. and then you're taking up room this way.
I tell you
if
what,
you're tall, that's fine. That's a bit leg
see,
room.
what you could do is this is the perfect solution for you, Ryan Mark. We have one of those frames, that you put your bag in for check-in.
Right, yes.
I have to get into it as a person.
You could try and stand. Maybe you wouldn't fit into the frame they have at the moment, but they could invent. They could invent something
if I hit the sides of the frame,
yes,
I pay more at check-in.
Yeah.
But if I don't, and you could do like what you do with the bags, you squeeze me in,
and if I could get into the metal frame, and that
then that's fine. Then I'm all right. But if I can't get into the metal frame, then I have to pay more.
You pay extra. I think that's a great idea.
That won't be humiliating at all. I think I would really looking forward to that.
Well, they could put it behind a curtain or something, so you get a bit of privacy. So
great.
That's something.
I'll
make the suggestion.
Thank you for that. That's brilliant. Maybe you could scan me as well. Put me through the X-ray machine and just make sure there's like nothing internal.
Yeah, I think there's a variety of ways to check. I mean, I'm just thinking about you and your feelings and other fat people.
All right, that's very kind of you.